Hi guys, we are gonna have some fun today playing around with some glassware and Murano glass paints. The first thing I want to do is show you a little bit about how it's applied traditionally, but of course if you know me and you followed me around for a little while, you know that I'm not too traditional. And I am dying to play around with this vintage pink, right? That comes in transparent. There is frost that we can play with. There's a few opaque colors. This is white. And then there's also iridescents that are really nice as well. It's another transparent. There's a nice iridescent aqua color that I went and painted my vase with. So this was definitely my very first experimental piece. Right? So if you guys don't know me, my name is Amanda Decision. Friends call me Mandy, and I paint on anything, guys, and definitely want to get the best durability and buck for my products that I'm going to invest in to play around with things. And like I said, I want them to be durable. This is wonderful. There's lots of ways, guys. You can Google forever how people have painted on glass before, and there's lots of little different ways. But this is a newer product. It's been around for a little while. I am just so impressed with the durability that this is why I got to come and share my experience a little bit with you. So this is a cheap vase I paid $1.49 or something for at Goodwill. There's a tiny bit of a chip here at the top, but that's okay because once I coat this with the paint, I'm hoping that it'll be a little bit softer there around the edge. And then also this is going to be on the shelf and looking just nice. So and I have a cat that likes to knock things over, so maybe he'll... I don't want to be spending a lot of money on my decor if there's accidents that could happen with it. So anyways, I played around a few different ways. I made another vase a while ago with the gallery glass, and pros and cons with gallery glass. It's meant to do wonderful clings. You can definitely do some nice frames, and you know the ovals that you can get. You can definitely come up with a lot of designs. But there was pros and cons trying to do it on a vase. So I am just so excited, guys, that Plaid came out with a better product, because this one never the gallery glass never totally hardens. So there's still chances of it being dented and, you know, having some problems with this. And then, of course, durability. So you would never want to do a glass that you're going to drink with it, right? So this is why I'm so excited, guys. We're going to play around with this Murano glass. We're going to be able to create some fun glassware that we can use through our celebrations. I just wanted to show you a little bit more about how it's applied traditionally, and then of course how I twist it a little bit and add my own 2 cents. Alright, so I've already played a little bit with, opened this up here a little bit, and then if you've had it on your shelf for a little while and you haven't used it, definitely it's always good to have a little pin and just make sure that nothing has dried in the opening, right? And you're nice and clean around the edges, and then you're good to go. Okay, so usually it's all sealed inside when you get it and you got to open it all up. But I wanted to play around with you guys and show you that you can definitely use it on textured pieces as well as smooth pieces, and you can get a really fun look with it. And we're just going to apply it around the edges here, and I'm not going to go around the top too much right now, just in case my fingers end up smudging some of it, and then I will end up coming back and adding a bit more to the top when I'm done, just to kind of touch it up if I need to. Okay, so I'm just kind of squeezing it gently outside the bottle, just running the rim, touching the glass with my rim, and guiding it along to be coverage. Okay, so also what you want to make sure is I have a silicone mat here to also cushion some of the tapping motion. You could also use like a felt pad of some sort to kind of give it a little bit more bounce in it, right? And then also what I like to do sometimes too is just use a piece of paper so that I have an easier cleanup, right? So you're gonna put that underneath your felt, and then you can tap, 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 tap down. You can stick those twinkle lights in there with a little cork, turn them on, make this a beautiful little night light to put in your bathroom. All right, so there's a lot of fun we can do with them while we have the product to do other things, right? So definitely this is the traditional way of applying the product, is just go ahead and squeeze it on, work it around a little bit. And through trial and error, I definitely messed up my first couple pieces because I didn't realize how thick the paint can be if you push too much, and then it's going to be way too drippy. So if you do too big of a section as well, then that drip that might be up here has to work through all of this section to get through to the bottom. So make sure, guys, that you're only applying it a little at a time, maybe like a centimeter, half an inch of space that I'm doing. I'm working my way around in a circle here, and then as soon as I've got like about a centimeter around, I'm going to start tapping. So I got something that's, you know, a little bit harder to hold on to, right? So you definitely want to try and hold on to it and then tap on it to work that paint down. Okay, so if you're sensitive to the tap sound there, just turn your volume down a little bit. And because I've got lots of room here to hold on to it at the bottom, I can always still try and, you know, tap it and hold on to it from the bottom. And then just when it gets to the very end, I'm going to start being a little bit more light-handed there. So hopefully you guys can still see that I'm bracing it somehow to be able to work on it, right? And then make sure you have an area already planned where this is going to live, right? Because they do say to let it dry for 48 hours, especially this thick application, before you can bake it and then totally seal it, right? But a lot of the products that Plaid Folk Art makes, like the Mod Podge dishwasher safe, it doesn't say to bake this product, but it does say to wait 28 days to let it cure and dry. So even with our multi-surface paints, if you can't get it in the oven, then definitely you're going to wait that 3 weeks, 28 days, good month of time to let it dry on its own before you're going to start handling it and or washing it. Right, so I'm using the same science to the product line, and you know, definitely some things may be too big for your oven. I have a little bachelor apartment, so my oven isn't very big. My biggest pan that I used to use for my turkey doesn't fit in my oven. So yeah, definitely sometimes there's going to be times where you just can't get that piece in there. You're going to just let it sit and dry really good. So that's why it's good to start getting those holiday glasses done now. Well, we're just at the end of October. And then they're going to have a good month to dry before you're going to need them before your party starts. Okay, so just as where that gloop was starting to settle there from the thick paint, kind of just work that in a little bit, move it down around in circles, and keep working yourself down a little at a time. And you'll notice that the thinner your application is, the less that it's going to drip down, and that's perfect. You know, you don't always have to see all of the big drips work down. Right? If they're really dropping fast, right, you see some areas are dropping faster, you can tell that those areas were the thickest. So you can definitely come a little bit lighter in your application if you're noticing really huge fast drips moving down. Okay, so when we start getting into these textured areas, you definitely want to help it I found that, you know, you just gotta kind of stir it around and self-level it as the best you can. The product does it itself, right? And slowly work yourself around in a circle. And don't worry about it if it's looking a little bit lumpy, bumpy from thick areas. It's amazing how the product will shrink back a little bit and hug itself to that texture and self-level. Right, so just keep slowly working it. If you see any bubbles, because it can happen if you squeeze air in and out as you're just using it to guide the product. I'm not always squeezing. Like sometimes I'm squeezing, but sometimes I'm just moving the product around that it's already there, right? So you can kind of just squeeze as needed. And then with the magic of television, when this is all nice and dry after a day or so, then I can come back and show you guys how this color looked. So they definitely look a lot more white and more coverage. Like this is the transparent one. You know, so when you're applying it, you're like, oh, I don't know if I like that color. You just remember that it's going to look more white in it while it's wet, and then that'll all come a little softer. Okay, so this is a nice vintage pink color. Okay, so you can also use like a little plastic lid, right, once you get down to the end so that the drips will fall off, right, not make a big mess on your paper. You'll see as I work down. Alright, so again, there's maybe a little bit of a lip of thick product there. I just kind of work that down a little bit, right? You don't always have to keep adding more if you've got a big drip there. Right, so you definitely want it to be nice and thin. To get a little nice translucent color. And it always takes you a couple. Like I actually was working so fast and it was terrible. I took a brush and squeegeed it off and started all over, right? But yeah, it's just having that little bit of heads up hopefully will give you guys a faster, better result. Right? I definitely always seem to find a way to get myself in trouble sometimes. And then hopefully I can pass that on to you. Right, so the biggest thing I have to say is definitely too much product and not working it in nicely. Right, so you shouldn't be having too much drips. If you're applying it thin enough. Right, just tapping it a little bit to help self-level. Right, so, and also you have to wipe this all down with alcohol, which I did earlier, and I forgot to tell you about that. But I'll show you again when I work on another piece. Right, so again, my fingers have been wiped down with alcohol too, so I don't have any hand cream on my hands at all. So hopefully I'm not leaving any oil residue from my fingers. If you're the type that sweats a lot, then maybe you want to wear cotton gloves. Or rubber gloves. Okay. And I'm just slowly working that in. So that's why I want to show you a couple different pieces. The textured pieces definitely hug that paint differently, right? It just kind of stays in all those lower areas. So you can see how much it was thick there, right? And then I got a bubble there, so I'm just working that down and popping it as I go. Right, so try not to breathe in and out with your bottle with the air coming in and out. Okay, so in a way, sometimes the textured pieces are a little bit easier to do. I could work that product in a little bit more. Nice and thin. So the thinner you apply the product, the less you have to worry about it dripping. You just gotta work it really good. And you definitely want to make sure you're happy with that last section before you keep moving down. Right. So you grab those big loops, pull them out. Right. And you never want to come back up and apply it now because the top part is already starting to get tacky and dry, and you're just going to make a big mess. It's actually easier to just let it dry, and then if you have a little spot that you want to touch up at the top later, it's probably actually easier to do later when it's dry than try to, hold it and, make a mess with it because everything's wet. So just know that, around the rim, you could probably just wait and touch that up like tomorrow when you can at least touch it, but you still gotta wait a good 48 hours because you'll notice that when you touch it, it's still a little bit sticky, especially if you put it on too thick. Alright, so I'm really trying to get this on as thin as possible, but still give it coverage and there's no bare glass spots. Okay, so there's hardly any drips there, but you can see over here there's a few drips. And so just gently guiding the paint down. Put too much. Guy, just go in one direction. So they can thin it out. Get it out of these little bowls, because this is like a recession on the inside. They're like tiny little bowls. So while you're holding it on flat, you know, they're filling up. So you gotta keep tapping. Notice the bubble there. Right, while it's wet, you gotta get them. Just gotta get a little creative on some of these pieces, how to hold them. And when you're picking out your pieces too from thrift stores, imagine this now while you're trying to work on them, and how are you gonna hold it, right? Because I might have picked a different piece knowing how skinny this was at the top. Maybe not. Right? Really big and heavy pieces might be a little harder to hold. Just try something small and inexpensive, you know. So that's what the thrift stores are great for. And so I washed it really good with a good Dawn soap degreaser. And then let it dry. And then I wipe the whole piece down again with some alcohol. Try to keep spinning it, leaning it on my table so it has a little bit of stability. Kind of trying to help it. Keep turning it. I'm trying to find that area here and make it all about the same last distance to the bottom. Just trying to work a little bit consistently all the way around it so that I have the same amount of space all the way around it left. So I have places to hold on to it still. My last good little top. Alright, some little plastic lid. This is just an empty little glitter jar. And giving it a good top. Taking a look at my areas here. Is there any really super thick areas that are really gloopy up there? Then you got to try and bring that down, right? Taking a little bit of a look here. Right, there is some little bubbles there, here and there. I'm trying to grab, but I would never come up there right now. It's just already starting to dry. And it's only from playing with the product that I started to realize what you can't do and what you can do. Just double checking. And you don't want to tap so much that you're tapping the paint right off again. Like, I mean, it will settle and stick. It's going to be a bit thick. I think I was tapping way too much. I think I was trying to, use too little of a product and tapping it all off, No, you just definitely got to have that happy balance of you're working off the thicker, gloopy, drippy marks. Right? So I shouldn't have too thin of paint. Right, it's got to separate. It's got to self-level. Alright, so if you can still see all of your scratch marks, you're taking it off and you can see glass, then it's too thin. Alright, so especially once we get down to the bottom here. Alright, so now it's just basically, again, just self-leveling it the best you can with the applicator. Especially when you're working flat, because it's got nowhere to drip. With all this beautiful texture in the glass, I definitely wouldn't add glitter to this. Definitely take advantage of the beautiful colors of the Murano glass. So many beautiful colors of blues and raspberries and milk paints, right? So we're trying to make it look like all of those really expensive blown glass paints. Those really expensive glass pieces. Alright, so now I'm just trying to put it on its edge so I can pick it up. Tip it just slightly so you can get your finger out. Alright, and then just coming around the edges now. Of the whole piece. Try not to spread it right over too much because then you'll end up denting the color on the other side. So just lifting it up just lightly, just enough so that I can see what I'm doing. Okay, guys. And then now I want to come around the edge a little bit more. Right, not on top, just around the edge. That very top lip that I left. Right, and then I can take a look at this one as dry. And maybe even add just a little rim of glitter around the top too. It would be really pretty. Right, there's a little flat spot there of glass. And then I got a little chip on this one. Right, this is what you get when you only pay $1 for a vase here. Okay, and that's it. Now it's just the patience of letting it dry and not touching it. Right? Expect at least 24 hours, guys, to touch this. I already messed up one. Of course I had to go and touch it after 4 hours. And then I ended up denting it with my finger. So just leave it, forget it. It exists. And then come back in a couple of days. Right? If you do notice any big bubbles, right, that you miss, you can go in and just poke them out with a pin. Alright, but I think I caught them all as I was working. Alright, so make sure you have nice good lighting so you can see. And then this will look like a really expensive piece now. Alright, if I just use a pin to touch anything up. So the little things I learned from to manipulate it is very similar to the gallery glass product, but it is definitely a little bit different where you're tapping down the paint to get it to move and self-level as opposed to working on a flat piece like the gallery glass. And you're going to get way more durability out of this product here as well. So you just got to go find a nice spot to let it sit and dry now. Okay, here she is. Only after 24 hours. You can see it's still a little bit milky. Okay, I don't know what color this is gonna go. It's the first time that I played with it. So it is maybe a little bit more purpley than pink that you might see on the screen here. And but still a very soft vintage style of a pink. So yeah, I'm gonna really enjoy this. I'm definitely gonna be putting this in the oven and baking it like it is recommended, and it says to put it in a cold oven, and then you can put it on a baking tray first, so then that way maybe it doesn't, fall in the slots, tip over. And then turn the oven on to 350, let it bake for 30 minutes, and then let it cool in the oven. So if you do it in the evening before you go to bed, then just let it cool, and then in the morning it'll be safe to take out. And then you can wash with soap and water. Alright, so I am definitely already played with my other vase that I made, and it is so durable, guys. Definitely nothing's coming off, even with adding some glitter and some one stroke. Definitely follow me for more videos with this Murano glass as I show you how I put my creative touch into this and not be so traditional. Alright, so hope you enjoy it and have fun with it.